Well, I'm really excited to be hosting and moderating the panel today. I got a couple of great people here, a great experience, and lots of good discussion, I'm sure, over the next half hour or so. If you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. TorontoJobs.ca presents the Canadian Virtual Controllers Conference, and also in partnership with TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca, and it's powered by Event Logic with a K.ca. So without further ado, let's get right into the panel. So first up, I'm going to go clockwise on my screen. Travis Ann is CPA CMA Vice President and Controller with Graywood Development. So Travis, thanks very much for being on here today. So why don't we start with talk a little bit about what you do and your background and your experience and what Graywood is all about.
Okay, so just to kind of give it quick 1 minute. So I've been in the real estate industry for probably about 10 years now. I started off in a commercial industrial office space. I was working for a company you guys are probably well aware of, RioCan. I then moved over to another private equity company called Strath Island. They're more of a small to medium-sized company. And there I was a supervisor, manager type role there. And then I transitioned into the real estate development and construction space where I'm currently VP today at Graywood Developments. We primarily work on multi-residential real estate projects within GTA, so Greater Toronto Area, as well as Calgary. So it's been fun. I've learned a lot during my time here, and we were able to really grow the team over the last 5 years I've been with the company. It's been really good so far. We obviously are more of a small to medium-sized company. We do large projects, right? We have 3 to 4 active funds right now, with about 15 to 20 real estate development projects under development and construction right now.
Perfect. And how big is your team, like your accounting financial team?
Yeah, so just to speak about my team, I have about 11 team members under my team right now. I focus primarily on the operational accounting and reporting. We work closely with the development and construction team. I have an AP manager who oversees our accounts payable team. We have 3 AP staff under there. And then I have a project accounting team where I have a director of operational reporting and accounting who oversees most of that. And I think we have about 6 to 7 project accountants. We actually hired 3 project accountants during this pandemic. So as you can see, there's been a lot of growth on my team and because of where our projects are progressing.
Excellent. Well, that's great. Thanks for the summary. And Manish Garg is CPA, CMA, MBA, corporate controller at Miravo Healthcare. So Manish, thanks for being on, and maybe you can do this. Give a little bit of background about yourself, your company, and your experience.
Thanks, Marc, and first of all, thanks for hosting us this evening. So good afternoon, everyone. Just a little bit of background about myself. I guess started long ago, 16, 17 years ago, just when I came here as a student. I did my MBA from Schulich School of Business and was fortunate to land in the pharma world. And since then, has been the kind of the industry that I've been stuck with. Pretty much, I would say, the medical space, primarily pharma, biotechnology, medical devices. And I was fortunate to get an experience which is kind of all-round encompassing the complete P&L, top to bottom, looking at everything. And in this whole journey, landed here in Miravo last year in the middle of the pandemic, literally when Ford announced the first lockdown, is when I was meeting my IT team, getting the laptop, got back home, and since then I've been just working from home. So very unique experience that I haven't even met my team properly. Literally 2 people from the 8 people that I have in my team that I've met in person, that too just over a parking lot lunch back in summer. So pretty unique times, but it's been a phenomenal experience. Miravo is as a typical pharma company, producing all the prescription medication. They were a small listed company. Just about 2 years ago, they gobbled a company twice their size and have since been growing quite rapidly. Again, the pandemic had very different impact on this particular industry. We can talk more about that later. That pretty much kind of gives a very quick introduction about myself.
Terrific. And how big is your team? You mentioned 10 people?
Yeah, so 8 people. They are all spread across. We have a plant in Quebec. So there's a plant controller reporting into my team. We have an office in Ireland. There is a controller there, like a country controller in my team. And then the rest of the team is here. A couple of consultants, again, kind of an indication of unique times. One is based out of Vancouver, completely remote. And we just hired sorry, what was that?
And when you say here, people may not know. How many?
So
here in Toronto, or
here in Toronto, in Mississauga is the main head office. So the rest of the team is here, and we just hired another person literally last week.
Terrific, excellent. Well, we're going to get into more detail as well, and as you've all just seen, Manish Agarwal has joined us as well. Right, Manish, you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, okay, terrific. Well, thanks for being on. So Manish is CA controller with Golden Freight Forwarding and Marketing. So thanks, Manish. And we have Manish and Manish. Manish Agarwal, I'll say your full name. That way you'll know which one I'm talking about. Perhaps you can just start with a quick introduction about you and your background and kind of a little bit about your organization and what you're involved with as well. Oh, we just lost him. Well, we'll come back to Manish then. Hopefully, Manish will get through the technical issues here. I'm sure I should be fine here. But anyways, okay, well, coming back to Travis then. So Travis, the real estate industry in many respects has done really, really well during the pandemic, right? Very opposite from travel, tourism, hospitality, retail, and so on. So what are you seeing? You mentioned new developments. People know that there's a shortage of good properties, hard to find real estate, either as an investor or as a homeowner or as a renter in many cases too, right? So what are you seeing yourself, Travis?
Yeah, so just to touch base on the real estate market, surprisingly, when the real estate market, when COVID first occurred in early March 2020, the market was on fire, right? The condo market was really selling off. The low-rise market was actually pretty slow at that point. So we actually had a Oshawa project out in Oshawa, a 56 townhome project, and that was really sitting on the market. We actually had to incentivize people to try to purchase it. Since then, that particular same townhome would sell for about $100,000 to $150,000 more today because of the lack of supply. And during that time as well, the condo space, we actually looked to launch a project called Jack Condos. That's at Jarvis and Carleton, right by Ryerson University. Okay, during the pandemic, we launched around July, August of 2020. And surprisingly, it was actually, we had to incentivize people as well. We actually had to provide extended deposits because of people, having a bit of fear with their financials and trying to project how they're going to manage all of that. So, that was obviously a tough time for us because we were not used to that. Our previous 3 projects that we launched in 2017 to 2019, they all pretty much sold out within the first 2 months. So that's obviously drastically changed. However, in the last 2 months or so, we've started seeing, the resurgence of the condo market in the downtown area. And we saw substantial increases in sales that we didn't expect at that time. So obviously you could see the market shifts rather quickly. And for us, we always have to be super creative and find ways to still push through our products. Because that's the key for our project returns is timelines and making sure we hit those timelines.
Yeah, very much. Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing. Now, Manish Agarwal, welcome back. Hopefully you can hear me okay and we're good to go. Manish Agarwal? Can you hear me, Manish Agarwal? Okay, we're having some technical issues with Manish. All right, well, we'll continue on. So if you're just joining, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca, and I'm joined here by Travis Ann, CPA, CMA, Vice President and Controller of Graywood Developments, and Manish Agarwal, CPA, CA Controller, Golden Freight Forwarding and Marketing, Inc., and Manish Garg, CPA, CMA, MBA, Corporate Controller at Miravo Healthcare. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the event or in the stage area, and I'll be able to moderate them as we go along. So we have about 20 minutes left here. So maybe back to Manish Agarwal. Can you hear me? Oh, we're having some technical. So Manish Garg, how about yourself? I mean, you're in pharmaceutical, in that world. What's been happening with you? Any involvement with anything to do with vaccines, or what's been happening there?
So not a direct involvement with vaccine, definitely, but it's a related industry. And I think I indicated a little bit before, but let me elaborate that. Financially, pharma industry was one of the ones which got least impacted, first of all, and came out stronger than any other industry. And I was seeing that like throughout our results, every monthly results, we were like, geez, just beating the estimates. But when I attended one of the fall economic update back in October, I was surprised to find from all the industry a graph that shows which one is sitting at the in terms of impact and in terms of recovery, and pharma was sitting at the top. And wow, I didn't realize that pretty much across the board, the entire industry rode the wave in these unique times. That even though a lot of the other industry had to face like a lot of hardship, pharma didn't. It possibly also has to do with a certain product portfolio that we have. So we have migraine products, we have allergy products. I think during these unique times, it just can invoke like some kind of anxiety. It can have those kind of issues that it just created a lot of demand for that product. For the first few months, we had distributors stock up so much that we were expecting, okay, now next quarter, we're going to see the downside, the opposite impact, but it didn't happen. We just continued to keep seeing that growth. So financially, the year was just phenomenal. But yes, the challenges, as would be applicable to any other industry, was more on the people side. And how do you manage all that work-life balance, people not interacting? That can be okay for some, but a lot of people need a lot more hand-holding and all that. So that was where the company really invested a lot more time and effort and focus. So in a nutshell, kind of that summarizes the impact that, yes, on one side it was all good, but there's the human side of it, which kind of is across the industry. Pharma is not unique to it. Yeah,
for sure. Thanks for sharing that insight. Manish Agarwal, are you back? Are you good? Well, he can see us. We had him duplicated at one point there, but we'll get there. We'll get there. So Travis, trying to manage staff remotely, trying to onboard new people. Obviously, everybody's got challenges and people working from home, distributed. But what have you learned? What are some tips maybe that you've taken away? That things that you feel have helped you manage over the last year with people working from home and so on?
Yeah, so I think one of the key strategies that we had was when I first joined the organization. Actually, we started moving things electronically from the beginning. So when I first joined, we were really reviewing things from binders. So like hard paper, we will go through and check and bob like accountants typically would do. Right? But I came from an environment in my previous company where we transitioned everything electronically. So we had all of our backups saved within the server, as well as electronic working paper. So we done that early on. Then we slowly started shifting over. Like we started moving to an online ERP system. So I assisted with implementing that particular software to ensure that we can have accessibility from anywhere, whether we're on site at one of our construction sites. Our construction team can actually log on and approve certain invoices. We look at what particular budget items they wanted to look at. So I think that shift early on really propelled us. And then really realistically, ensuring that the team has their own laptop was one of the push as well in early 2020 and late 2019. Half my team already had their own Surface Pro. So when 2 weeks just before lockdown, we actually just ordered a couple more for my AP staff, who was primarily in the office. One other key recommendation is having a daily meeting. So I have a daily meeting with my team, 30 minutes, just to go through, the key deliverables for the week, for the day, and then ultimately from there, they kind of just go and they manage their own, daily deliverables, right? So I think having FaceTime on a regular basis is super important. Keeps team morale high, and it's good to have discussions. So being able to have regular meetings with the team is super important, I think.
Yeah, and what technology are you using? Zoom, Teams?
We use Team for internal meetings, and we started actually using it for external meetings as well. But we also use Zoom for more of our external type meetings with our consultants and our co-owners and our investors.
I see. Perfect. And Manish, how about you? Managing your team, onboarding, trying to keep people motivated. Any tips, takeaways that maybe somebody else can benefit from?
Oh, absolutely. And I think my own experience might be like a very unique one that I can reflect on it and take learnings from it and implement it maybe in future for my team as well. So as I said, I literally started middle of the pandemic, started virtually. It's a new company. I haven't even met people, kind of built that relationship. But I guess pharma industry from the beginning was also used to this whole idea of working from home. So for them to pivot around and switch to completely online, that didn't take them long. The infrastructure was there. People were used to it. What they were not used to it is like working all the time from home. That is where the adjustment took place. So initially creating those meetings and not then setting the expectation of you have to switch the camera all the time. I think initially people were not that ready with it. They took time, like few months to like even get their whole setup nicely organized, or maybe the systems properly. So we kept it a little bit of a very flexible approach. I heard from different companies in industry that they were all forced to say you have to keep the camera on. Maybe that was due to the fact that they just want to ensure that they're working and they're not doing something else or things like that. But for meetings, for anything else, we just kept it very, very fluid. Like let the choice be that to the employees. Let them be feeling comfortable on that. And it automatically ensured that most of the time they would want to switch on the video. They want to see the person on the other side and not just talk to a blank screen. So that was one learning, and I would highly recommend that kind of keep it flexible. Yes, in certain meetings, maybe it's like a team meeting. It's like, and we kept a lot of these, at least once every 2 weeks, team engagement activity, a game night or a social afternoon, those kind of things. Like you would typically do that maybe on a weekend with friends, but just take that and each one would bring something unique. And it just it breaks down the barriers and like, okay, how am I communicating to this new person? Somebody new has joined and haven't met this person, or like I'm just talking to everyone virtually. So those are some of the tools that really came in handy to like break down the barriers, make them people comfortable. Beyond that, I guess that's about it, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair.
In terms of technology, I think you asked one question as well. MS Teams is the primary tool internally, and Zoom is more external.
Right. So kind of similar to Travis then.
Yeah. We had Skype before, but that doesn't work at all. It just keeps on having some other issue. So the benchmark, I would say, anybody going listening to this, go for Teams or Zoom. Both are the best. You won't get anything better than that.
Yeah, for sure. And Travis, what are one or two things that you've learned over the last year, about yourself? Something that a new skill that you've developed, something that that has helped you to get to where you are now.
Yeah, so I think the important part, and I'll elaborate on Munish as well. I think flexibility is super important. I think providing flexibility to your staff really keeps them engaged, right? Again, same thing. You don't need to have your camera on, but just having touch points, I think, is super important. Making sure that we have like schedule, shut it down at an appropriate time, because people can just work hours and hours. I think that's one thing that I love about myself, is that if I don't give myself key deadlines or timelines to shoot things off, I could just keep working day in and day out, right? One other aspect that I think is important that I've learned over this past year is just making sure that you keep yourself healthy as well. I think that's super important. It's really it really increases your productivity as long as you're keeping yourself fit, right? Doing active activities, going outside, taking regular breaks is super important. It's something that I keep on highlighting to my team. So I think that's a balance that you need to have in an environment like this.
Yeah, very much so. Manish, I always like talking about careers and, how people got to where they have been. And, what do you feel has contributed to get to where you've been? Has it been hard work? Is it luck? Is it meeting a right person along the way? Like, what's contributed to getting to where you've been?
I would say hard work is a key ingredient. Like that goes without saying that you need to know your area really, really well and working hard towards it. But one thing beyond that really stood out for my entire career path was networking. Like people keep on saying, what is networking? A lot of people get it, a lot of people don't. It's something that you have to keep doing it and you will over time get better at it. You will understand what it involves, what are the other different avenues that you need to take. Like entire career path, if I look back all the way, starting from my first job at J&J, and after that, keeping in touch with the right people, just helped me keep on moving in all the different career paths. Even like at Miravo, maybe I can share it now. I'm very soon leaving and joining another company in a matter of a few weeks. And again, it's all because of that networking. In this environment, to get a break at a certain stage in your career is not easy. There's definitely a lot less, I guess, jobs available. It's definitely more than what it was, say, a few months ago. But pre-pandemic level, it's like a lot less. And competition is, I would say, multiple times, number of people applying for it. So what stood out is the networking effort. And it's not one kind of networking. You have to just broaden yourself and do everything. Your activity on LinkedIn, going to attend maybe certain conferences and just touching base with few people and doing it regularly, not when you need it. It's like there is a good saying that you don't dig the well when you're thirsty. You have to make it available and you just keep it ready. When you need it, it's there. You start digging it, it's too late. That's one golden rule that I have learned. And I've kept like reminders for myself, like every few months, these are the people I need to touch base. It could be just a 5-minute conversation, maybe over the phone or by just drop an email. And that just keeps you on their mind, like a top of mind recall. And that helps a lot. So beyond the hard work and knowing your job inside out, networking is the key.
Yeah, very much so. And, the statistics on being a recruiter for the last 25 years, 80 to 90% of jobs are typically found through the hidden job market. So not advertised. And especially the more senior you get, controller, CFO, and so on, it becomes even more. And during the pandemic, it's probably even 90 to 95% of jobs because everybody's really trying to help each other, like their friends and people they know and so on. So, yeah, really, really important. And Travis, how about you? Like, your career, like something that's contributed to the success of your career. Is there something else other than maybe networking or whatever? But if it is networking, that's okay too. But just
yeah, I think what's important is always the networking is one key aspect, but continuously learning, I think is important. That's one thing that I always stress to my team as well. I learn from them as much as they learn from me, and that's the critical piece. Is as long as you're continuously learning and trying to develop, but it comes down to character. I think when it comes down to networking, it's great, but if you don't have the right character, you can never really create relationships that are long lasting, right? And I think that's one thing that I always, stress to my team as well, is that it's important to ensure that you provide high quality. You want to maintain your reputation as a person that provides quality work, that's dependable, right? And that builds relationship, because you can learn the ins and outs of how to do the job. But what really progresses you is your, interpersonal skills. And I think that's going to be something that you have to always continuously develop as well, right? And that's where it's gotten me to where I am today. Not just hard work, I put in I have great work ethics, but I think the stress is really trying to develop relationships and assist and provide value to other people within the organization is really important.
Right. And when you mentioned about continuous learning, like what kind of continuous learning do you do? YouTube, online courses, like what do you do?
Yeah. So as well, we're all well aware that CPA, we have to do CPA hours, right? So I do a lot of seminars, I do webinars. I actually take courses. So I go back and I've taken a George Brown course on construction just to understand it. Obviously it takes up a lot of your time. But I do a lot of podcasts. I read at least an hour a day, which I stress is super important. And there's definitely various avenues that you can use. I try to obviously learn from my other colleagues as well. And it doesn't, I always say that a question is never a stupid question, because as long as you're developing and learning, then it's worth asking.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, good, great advice. Manish, just have a couple minutes left here. So anything you want to add, 30 seconds or a minute, about anything, about what you're doing, something that advice you would give to other people watching, other controllers watching, any other tips?
In terms of any of the tips, I would say try to broaden, maybe getting different industry experience. Like I've stayed pretty much, I would say, in medical, but what I've learned, at least venturing out and taking a shot at financial services in the banking side, and long ago I was in textiles, it broadens your perspective very differently. Yes, in one industry, if you build that expertise, you're like deep down in the knowledge, but the breadth over the long run plays a significant part as well. Like that's one aspect that I've seen, that being that all-rounder, then by getting like all different industry experience helps you a lot. Not to say just staying in one industry is bad, but you just increase your chances of success multiple times.
Right. Yeah, good point. And Travis, anything to wrap up? Something about your company, promo, something, anything like that?
Just to wrap things up, I wanted to give one thing that I regularly do is I have a morning routine. So I typically wake up pretty early, around 5 a.m. And then I do, what I call the miracle morning, right? It's a book that you can get out there. But what I normally do is I do, affirmations, right? I do silence and meditate, and I set goals for myself for that day. I also do exercise and reading, right? I think when you set up your morning, it really propels you to do well, and it sets the tone for the day. So consistency is what I always believe in. And I think that as long as you have a strong mindset and you really are aiming for and being ambitious, there's anything that you can achieve as long as you put your mind to it. So I think that's one thing that I always want to highlight to everybody.
That's great advice. Really thankful to both of you for sharing and being so honest and transparent about what you do and your companies and your work, and a bit of motivation. I'm sure people watching will have picked up at least one thing that they can incorporate into their days. So thanks to both of you. Thanks to everybody who came to the Canadian Controllers Conference today. Again, the event was presented by TorontoJobs.ca and TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and powered by Event Logic with a K.ca. Again, my name is Marc Belaiche. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Today's panel, we had Manish Agarwal for a little bit, CPA, CA controller, Golden Freight Forwarding and Marketing. We had Manish Garg, CPA, CMA, MBA, corporate controller at Miravo Healthcare, and Travis Ann as CPA, CMA, Vice President and Controller at Graywood Developments. How did you like the event? Let us know. We'll send you a survey within the next 24 hours. Please complete it. It gives us some good information as to what we can do better, how we can improve, what you liked, what you didn't like, and so on. I want to thank all the speakers and the team as well today, and many others today, Alex, especially the team as well, Alex, Jesse, Rachel, Ann, Sandra, Sarah, Carla, and Ann. Lots of people behind the scenes. TorontoJobs.ca. If you have any staffing needs, feel free to reach out. Sales@TorontoJobs.ca. If you're an entrepreneur, make sure to visit TorontoEntrepreneurs.ca and EventLogic.ca. If you'd like to sponsor, exhibit at, or speak at an upcoming event, visit the website, EventLogic with a K.ca. Schoolie Mitchell reduces costs on your business services, telecom, credit card processing, shipping, waste, and more. Visit SchoolieMitchell.com for more information. And if you'd like to have your organization and services highlighted, we have speaker, sponsor, and exhibitor options available. You can visit EventLogic.ca. There's a great team there and can promote you and your organization. In addition, a few other quick announcements, upcoming events. I'm just going to put them in the chat button here in the event side. There's lots of upcoming events. We have the Canadian Virtual Employment Law Conference happening this Friday, March 26th. The Canadian Virtual CPA PD Day happens on Wednesday, April 7th. Best Practices for Recruiting Staff happens on Thursday, April 8th. And finally, the Canadian Virtual CFO Conference happens on Tuesday, May 11th as well. So I put all the links in the chat area as well. So you want to join that. In addition, I just wanted to mention there's many groups that we have for accounting and financial people on all our social media. So Facebook, I'm just putting the links on here. There's a Twitter group as well that you can join and follow and post and retweet, and all the great things that we do on social media. LinkedIn as well is in the chat. A couple more here. There's the Toronto Chartered Professional Accountants group and the Halton Peel CPA Accountants group as well. So just feel free to join those. And then we also have finally the Instagram account as well. Again, these are all for accounting and financial professionals. And the TorontoJobs.ca YouTube channel. If you are looking for a new position, a new job, you can certainly connect there. So we actually add 10 more minutes to our platform for some last minute networking. So everybody's welcome to go into the networking area. I'm going to go in there shortly as well. Again, 10 minutes extra added on. And hope to see you at a future event. And thank you again to Travis, Manish, and to all of you for coming on to this event today. And I hope to see you at another event. Thanks again, Travis.
Thank you, Marc. Much appreciated, guys.
Thanks, Marc.
Have a great day.
Same here. Thank you.